Hello and welcome back to Blue Flag Bandits, the series that drives F1's worst cars, so you don't have to, from 2010 to the present day, whenever that may be, using the Codemasters F1 games, and you join us in the final three rains of 2013, driving the Marussia MR02, and it's been a season, that's for sure, one that's still got a couple more twists and turns, I feel, as we head to Abu Dhabi for rain 17 of the season. You join us off the back of a fairly disappointing Japan and a fairly average Indian Grand Prix after we had such a good little run from the Italian Grand Prix onwards. But we still have a single point to our name. We are still battling Daniel Ricciardo, and I think we're winning that 3-1 at the moment because he didn't finish in India. So we might be able to wrap up our rivalry challenge at least at the end of this round. But it's three races where I'm not entirely sure we're going to be able to nick any more brilliant results. Let's take a look at the standings though before we talk about what we're looking at here. 17th at the moment, the last of the point scorers, just ahead of Verne, Bottas, Bianchi, Peak and Vandergaard. At least Bianchi's in front of both Caterhams. That's good for us as a team. But not many points on the board. At the top end of things, Vettel leads the way by 20 ahead of Alonso, who's just a few further in front of Lewis Hamilton. Those three hammer and tongs to the end of the season here, I think. Rosberg is mathematically out of it now, I think, with Felipe Massa in 5th, Webber in 6th. Then it's a little gap back to Sergio Perez, who's in 7th, ahead of Raikkonen, Button and Grosjean. Him and Hulkenberg have been vying over 10th for most of the season, and Hulk is now 5 points behind the Lotus, but then it's a massive gap back to Paul di Resta, Adrian Sutil, Gutierrez, Ricardo Maldonado, and ourselves as point scorers. In the Constructors, it is Mercedes leading the way, but Red Bull and Ferrari very much in there. 29 points, the gap between 1st and 3rd. McLaren have lost their battle to defend their Constructors' crown from last season. They'll be 4th or 5th. They're only just in front of Lotus. Sauber pretty comfortable in 6th in their own little bubble, ahead of Force India, Toro Rosso, Williams. There we are in 10th, just ahead of Caterham. And we head to Abu Dhabi, the Yas Marina circuit, with 3 rains left. This will be the last time, I think, that Yas Marina isn't going to be the final race of the season. I think it moves next season, 2013 onwards, it becomes the final round of the 2014 onwards, sorry, becomes the final round of the championship. I might be wrong, but it's certainly going to be moving its position with Brazil. And it's a circuit that, when this team was still Virgin Racing, we took an unlikely and incredible victory in our final race of 2010. I don't think we're going to see something similar here. I think it's going to be a very tough track for us. There's a lot of straight bits that will require a lot of power, and we don't really have any. And as I say, India and Japan weren't particularly spectacular races. Japan particularly bad, just about managing with some robust moves to jump Daniel Ricciardo right at the death thanks to leaders cutting through traffic. And in India, we just sort of sat in the way for a lot of the Grand Prix. It wasn't as good as 2012 was, and we're not going to see India again. We're not going to see Korea again. Korea was the last decent race we had, I'd say, P11 there. And then obviously you had the point in Singapore and the 12th place in Italy, and if you go further back in the season, a couple of other 12th places in the likes of Canada and Germany. So it is doable. This car has proven, or at least our performances have proven, that we can fight a little bit further up the field than this car is capable of. But I don't think this is going to be the race for us, especially with it being the older layout with the extra chicanes and things like that. We should probably see where our baseline is. So let's head to practice. And while we do, we'll talk about the real world 2013 Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. Yas Marina saw rain 17 of the season, and with both titles wrapped up, the focus began to turn to 2014, where there were a number of battles up and down the order which still needed resolving. Practice 1 was an uneventful one, the conditions not representative of the conditions for the race. Grosjean would top the times ahead of Hamilton and champion Vettel. Second practice would go the way of Red Bull, Vettel topping the timesheets ahead of Webber and Hamilton, while Grosjean had a myriad of issues and spent a long time in his garage. The final session would see a repeat of the top three from the second practice session, with the only incident being that of Bianchi hitting the barrier at turn 1, damaging both the front and rear of his Marussia. The opening part of qualifying didn't produce any shocks, with the usual sight of Caterham and Marussia occupying the back two rows, Sutil and Gutierrez joining them in the elimination zone. Q2, however, would see a shock, the elimination of Fernando Alonso, the Ferrari seemingly struggling for pace around the Yas Marina circuit. The Spaniard would be joined by Di Resta, Button, Verne, and both Williams cars. The fight for pole appeared to be between Red Bull and Mercedes, though Hamilton found himself running slower than he had in Q2, urging Mercedes to check his car. The team could see no issues as he pushed too hard on his final run, spinning off track at turn 14. It'd be Mark Webber who took pole with a near-perfect lap, beating out his teammate, while Rosberg and Hamilton would have to settle for third and fourth. Raikkonen had qualified in fifth, but failed a floor deflection test and was forced to start from the back of the grid. Webber bogged down off the line, losing the lead to Vettel and second place to Rosberg. Hamilton fancied his chances as well, but had to back out of a move up the inside, which allowed Grosjean to sweep it to fourth. The other Lotus, however, wasn't so lucky, making wheel-to-wheel contact with the Caterham of Guido van der Garde, and it snapped the Lotus's suspension, ending the Finns' race. That was really the extent of any real action, as the race kind of became fairly typical Abu Dhabi. Many drivers struggling to overtake even with DRS had been the case in previous seasons. Vettel was untroubled at the front, leading by a country mile to the flag, claiming his 7th victory in a row, drawing a level with Ascari and Schumacher in consecutive wins. Webber would take second, while Rosberg would take third. Grosjean, Alonso, Di Resta, Hamilton, Massa, Perez and Sutil would complete the top 10.
That lap put you at the top of the table.
What's the aim here at Yas Marina? I mean, we're a pretty long way from our 2010 pace with this team, and getting at Q1 this season is pretty much out of the question, you feel? We've gone a little bit backwards over the last couple of races, so we really do need to get back on track and end the season strongly. I think the best aim is to go for the customary 19th spot and see if we can at least beat our closest rivals. Maybe even just be a little bit closer to the likes of Toro Rosso and Williams.
It won't be easy getting out of this qualifying session, but see what you can do.
In the garage then for qualifying in Abu Dhabi, practice was okay. We passed our R&D objectives. Car felt fairly stable for most of it, to be honest. Might actually be able to give this a fairly good fight, although we've thought that before after practice and then been absolutely demolished in qualifying. So where everybody else takes a step up, we might have to as well. But a circuit that we've done well at in the past, so let's get out there and try to work some magic in Abu Dhabi.
We're falling down the field. You dropped to 19th.
Taking a look at that fastest lap in Q1, as you can see it took an awful long time to come, but we get through turn 1 bouncing over the inside curve and not running too wide. Same in turn 2, and we drift it around turn 3. heading down towards the chicane. We know we're running out of time, but we're marginally off our best time and nearly half a second off Bottas, bouncing all over the curbs through the chicane to try and take as much of a straight line as we can round the hairpin, but we're always waiting to get on the power. You can hear the rear wheels spinning up, meaning that we've just not got the traction for it. It's now this long back straight to the chicane at the bottom end. It's just a case of needing power here. We don't really have an awful lot of it, but we brake well into the chicane, go a little deep on entry and maybe go a little early on exit, but it doesn't cost us too much time now, I don't think, as we get onto another DRS zone, running out of fuel as we go. Down to the three-part chicane at the end of the straight, we're nearly 2 and a bit tenths up, but we're still 4 tenths off Valtteri Bottas. And it all gets a little bit out of shape through the middle of that triple chicane, but we're all right through the left-hander on exit. It's this long right-hander, you just keep your foot in it and get heavily on the brakes before swinging the car to the right into the hotel section, looking fairly neat and tidy at the moment, but also still just maybe a little cautious on the throttle. Get on a little too early there and you can hear the rears just drifting around into the final couple of corners though, and again just really waiting to get on the power. Through the final corner, we lose the rear attach, maybe get a bit greedy on the throttle, and we're only marginally faster than the first lap.
Okay, that's lower than we expected today. 19th place.
Qualifying then comes to an end, as it so often has for the last couple of seasons, in Q1. P19, the usual spot for us. I don't think we were ever going to have the pace to get through, but we weren't too far off John-Eric Verne's Toro Rosso. Maldonado also drops out, along with Pique, Bianchi and Vandergaard. Car felt alright, but we just lack overall pace, which is kind of the story of this series for the most part. Gone are the glory days of 2010, where we could scrap any which weekend and then have a dismal weekend the next. It's more consistent, at least it has been through 2013. But we're in amongst our normal backmarker crowd. Ricciardo's through to Q2, probably will get knocked out in Q2, so at least he's not going to be too far further up the grid, because we can clinch that 4-1 if we beat him here today. But it's going to be an interesting race, and one we might do okay in if we can get some spots early. So let's cross to the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix of 2013. In the garage then for the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix of 2013, 19th place, as is so very often the case in this series, or at least maybe not so much this season. It's been a bit up and down, really, hasn't it, grid-wise? Not much further up, but mostly down. Let's take a look, though, at the grid order before we get talking about what we're hoping for here. Sebastian Vettel took pole position ahead of Lewis Hamilton and Fernando Alonso, the top 3 in the title, the top 3 on the grid, and that extends down as far as Mark Webber. Rosberg's in 4th, Webber's 5th. Massa's 5th and Webber is 6th. Button, Perez, Raikkonen and Grosjean round out the top 10. Fairly strong and stacked top 10 on the grid. Hulkenberg just outside that top 10 in 11th, ahead of his teammate Gutierrez and it's Di Resta. Ricciardo's 14th, our rival. Suttel's in 15th, with Valtteri Bottas, P16, Maldonado and Verne dropped out in Q1 along with us, Pique, Bianchi and Vandergaard. And it is a race that we have performed fairly well at over the last few seasons. The results may not look it, but I think it was it last season or 2011? There was a race in this series where we were fighting for the points and we clipped a curb late on and span. I think that was driving the Team Lotus in 2011. And obviously we took that victory back in 2010, which seemed unlikely, but we outpaced everybody for pretty much the entire weekend. And somehow cruised to a victory in the sunset. I don't think that's going to be the case here. In fact, I know it's not going to be the case here. There's a title fight going on up at the front, so that could get a little bit feisty. We might see somebody off the road. For us, I think it's really just a case of trying to end the season on a high. We've had a couple of tough races in India and Japan, and I'd like to end the last 3 races with decent-ish results. I don't I don't know. I don't think points are going to be something we're looking at here. Probably the same at Kota. Brazil, maybe, if we get lucky with a bit of weather, or we just have some pace, because that's a fun track to drive. I think here, though, beating our back markers, beating Daniel Ricciardo, clearing that rivalry off, actually winning that rivalry would be great. We are now ahead in the teammate battle on qualifying as well, with a point ahead and way ahead on outracing and outpacing Jules Bianchi, so that teammate challenge should be ours for the taking. Now, I want to aim somewhere in the midfield. Let's go for somewhere random, like 16th place. You know, a couple of retirements, a couple of good spots off the line. As I say, just try and get in front of Ricciardo to try and take the fight to the Toro Rosso. And yeah, I think we have the pace to mix it with that sort of lower midfield. Maybe we'll get lucky with people finding themselves out on the runoff in the opening stages. So let's get to the grid for the 2013 Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. Vettel, Hamilton, Alonso at the front, Rosberg there as well. There we are, Bianchi in behind us. Able to see Daniel Ricciardo up there on the left.
We can catch Ricciardo in the Drivers' Championship with a good result today.
Engineer Andy really hoping for a point or two, but away we go at Yas Marina. And today we get a good start. We got a lot of curves though, which could prove a bit of a problem as the lap goes on. We're the ones out on the runoff at the start. Bottas has forced us out there. Yeah, bumping and banging going on up ahead. There's Ricciardo in 15th. To the outside, we just about avoid a big collision. Again, staying to the outside, and that seems to have worked for us. Gutierrez is in the top 10 here. He's jumped Raikkonen. He's going side to side with Romain Grosjean. We now have Raikkonen for company. I'm going to stay to the inside of the Lotus into the chicane. Gutierrez has taken the position, and we will also... Will we? Will we? Yes, we will. We take a position off Romain Grosjean and we're up to P10. Excellent first half of the lap. Looks like everybody's got through it unscathed, although it looks like Ricciardo might have just stopped and then started again. Saw the little blue dot on the mini-map just disappear at the back of the field and then start moving again. The top line are going to start moving away, although there's a little clash of cars here. Looks like the two McLarens, maybe Mark Webber, who I think's just gone off the road. Yes, he has. We have to get on the brakes early to avoid the back of the Australian. Taking advantage there as we almost spin up off the curbs. A couple of these curbs are a bit lethal. We cross the line P10 at the end of the first lap. Raikkonen has followed us past his teammate. We have to stay really shallow to keep the Iceman behind us. Weber again struggling. Gutierrez now around the outside, and we will get past the Mexican, and we're into P9. Weber was getting shoveled out wide by the McLarens there. A couple more races in Webber's F1 career to come. Here, America and Brazil. Gutierrez just sides his way through a gap, and Raikkonen as well. Goes to the extreme inside, and we managed to get it slowed down. Gutierrez, Raikkonen and Grosjean, all of them having a go there. Hamilton's down to 8th. I don't know what's happened to Hamilton, but he's fallen behind Mark Webber. Kimi Raikkonen, who's going to be first to attack this time. We'll just sort of try and hang around in the middle of the track. Raikkonen out, barges his way past. A little bit too late on the brakes, but we're on the inside for the second half of that chicane. Blocks out Gutierrez, who falls back. There's a Force India in that fight now as well. Stay ahead of the Lotus. Raikkonen's going to be on us before the DRS line. We'll once again just sort of sit, maybe weave a touch, and we'll just sort of sit in the way of the fin as he once again looks to the inside into the chicane. Easy enough to defend the up and under. Go to the outside here. Easy enough to defend again. Desperately hoping some of these guys pit in as well. As Raikkonen looks to the outside, that's a bold move. Raikkonen is following us in. A couple of other cars as well. Been held, fall behind Raikkonen.
There's some traffic at the pit exit. Watch out as you rejoin the track.
And the Lotus immediately gone. That's frustrating.
Prime tyres on the car. You have 2 stops remaining.
How many spots can we regain? Bianchi dives in. Would be nice to regain 10th spot. I'm not entirely sure that's going to happen.
Watch out for cars exiting the pits. Be aware,
Might do. We do.
To save fuel.
Hamilton's actually fallen behind Raikkonen. He's had a really bad race in the Mercedes. We run a little wide. Gutierrez is going to have a run. Just get later on the brakes, or do we? Back up the inside at the hairpin.
That's 8 places up from our race prediction. Great job. Keep it up.
They're right with us. Just kind of hoping we get DRS as we force Gutierrez to the left.
Be aware, we think the car behind is trying to save fuel.
Later on the brakes. To get back up the inside of the Sauber.
Hamilton's engine sounds sick. He might have an engine problem.
Oh, that might be why Hamilton's moving slowly as we get warning there for cutting the corner. Fair enough. I wonder if that Mercedes is going to give up. If it does, it gives me at least a fraction of security, I guess, through the pit stop phase. Let's not forget, it was a brake problem for Fernando Alonso in India last season that netted us that 9th place. If Hamilton has an engine problem that can net us a point, that would be great as well, as we're going to get swamped here. Later on the brakes, extreme inside, reclaim the position. The positions from Di Resta and Gutierrez, and that allows Di Resta through on the Sauber. Not closing on Hamilton, not rapidly anyway. again, here comes Gutierrez. We just sort of hold the middle of the road. Williams there past Maldonado. Fought his way through the train behind us. Okay, Gutierrez is in. I think that was Maldonado behind him in as well. Ricardo, I think, will move past us. Somebody else goes through as well. Are we going to get held this time? We are not. That's good. We're back out in front of Gutierrez.
As you rejoin the track.
The rest is through. Might mean that we are out of the points overall, unless the rest is coming in second of the Force Indias.
Prime tyres, only one stop to go.
Gutierrez immediately on us. Again, not quite enough overspeed to completely make the move into the chicane. 15th at half distance. Really hoping we can hold out for a point here. India were out in the garage, I'm fairly certain, as we headed on into the pits, which could possibly suggest that Adrian Sutil was the first of the two to pit. Or not. It looks like Di Resta has jumped us.
A new set of option tyres have been put on Bottas's car.
We lose 2 spots. Here comes Gutierrez again. This time finds the gap, but will once again fire it back at the inside. He's going to try and cut round us, but we'll easily have that one
really
sorted.
Well. 6 places up on where we expected to finish.
There's Grosjean and Di Resta that have both jumped us. Adrian Sutil now attacking us, as I think he's managed to get past Gutierrez as he was getting held up behind us through the hairpin. Sutil tries to go decisive and make a first move, but again, late enough on the brinks to defend from the Force India. A bit wide,
Be aware, we think the car behind
and
is trying to
Sutil's
save
through,
fuel.
and I think he'll probably stay there unless we dive it back at the inside, which is exactly what we do. Regain our P12. He's already getting a bit sketchy. Still a couple of laps till our pit stop to make the options work at the end of the race. I think Di Resta, Hamilton, Grosjean have all just come in.
We're 7 places up on our predicted finish. Come on,
We'll
keep
jump
going.
Paul Di Resta, Lewis Hamilton still hanging on to the top 10.
The car behind has some minor damage to his front wing. Doesn't look too serious.
Gutierrez back up into 12th. A little bit of damage. I don't know whether he caught that from
Now, Jules in the pits.
clipping the back of us or another incident. Either way, he's the one attacking now. Wide out the final corner.
The pit window is
It's going to invite Gutierrez into turn 1, but he's not going to make it. Di Resta's now behind us. He's off strategy to us. Hold Di Resta off there. Sutil's going to attack now. Tires really are worn as Sutil goes past. We clip the curb. We're off over the runoff.
You're in 11th.
Don't get any power down at the moment.
Pit in.
That's the plan. As we the path of least resistance through that triple chicane. We've got no steering whatsoever. Can't get any power down, but we're still just about holding our P11. Obviously that will drop to P12, the rest will stay out. Drift into the pits, but we do get in. Do we get help? No, we don't. We leave the pits in 16th.
Let's keep the pressure on him.
There's Hulkenberg. He had a problem with his engine, but he was also, as he tips us, he was also getting lapped, I think, by the Red Bull of Sebastian Vettel. All got a little bit feisty at the hairpin and nearly get tipped by Hulkenberg, but we are now a lap down. Well, we're down to 21 in this race. Roman Grosjean is out. But also, in bad news for us, Bottas, Ricciardo ahead of us, both have taken their final pit stop. They went earlier because they went onto the primes, which means that they are in front of us on merit, and we're not going to be quick enough to catch them. So we're going to lose out to Ricciardo here, which is going to make it 3-2, I think, in the rivalry, unless Ricciardo drops out as we pass where Grosjean has parked his car. So we're back up to 14th.
Coming together for us with 4 places up on our predictions.
I also don't think we're currently a lap down
The
anymore.
car behind is running on
I
full
think
rev.
Vettel
He's trying to close the gap.
pitted in. Well, we're about to get lapped, so now we're about to go a lap down. There's a Ferrari behind us as we enter the final corner.
Immediately behind through. You're not racing.
Fernando Alonso in second, so we are already a lap down, so that's something, as Fernando just sort of drifts into us. I'm trying to let him through. It's actually just let Sutil back through. He's going to have to back off once again to let the Ferrari past. Run wide at the hairpin to try and let Fernando through this time. He should have the pace to just beat us for speed on the straight, and we're slightly behind him for a little bit of slipstream, just so we also don't lose a position to Adrian Sutil, who's got DRS. Brake a little earlier than I would have wanted, but we still managed to get back round the Force India, just because Alonso was right there. We get caught on some curbs. We get DRS as well. Verne there too. And what I can only assume is Hulkenberg. Maybe Gutierrez. I think Hulkenberg had engine issues. I think Lewis Hamilton might be out of the title fight after this race. As we head on to our final lap, the tyres done for. So it's a good thing we've only got one more lap to go. Try and hold off Esteban Gutierrez, Adrian Sutil and Jean-Eric Verne for that lap. Trying to gently get on the power as Gutierrez has a look into the hairpin. It's just wheel spin then. to the right across to the left to defend Gutierrez. Sutil's going to get by.
We're outplaced back. Come on, you
Late
can get
on the
him.
brakes. Bit of wheel-to-wheel contact. We are spinning everywhere. We get a warning. All this over 14th place. A race that could have been so much more. At one point, I think, could have been 9th.
You need to let the car behind you pass. He's not racing you for
The blue
position.
flagged, so that will back everybody off. It's Jenson Button in the McLaren. I think that's Fernando Alonso's taken the win. We nearly lose. Oh, Sebastian Vettel, sorry, as we nearly lose the rear. We're going to lose.
Let the car behind pass.
I was going to say we're going to lose 14th, but we're not.
To gain a position.
Sutil got out wide, went off the road.
Back up to speed now.
Oh, but we're round.
No longer applies.
And then Sutil hits us. There's Webber. Oh. We get a penalty. That's fair. Gutierrez is out.
Looks like the stewards have awarded you a time.
It's a 20-second time penalty. Oh, a terrible way to end this race. Absolutely nothing in the tyres. We're going to get beat by the Caterhams. We'll finish probably plumb last. Yeah, P20. Sutil got a penalty as well. We finished 20th and last after wiping out Gutierrez at the end. Grosjean didn't finish either. We lost the rear and then that was it. Couldn't move. Anytime we tried to get on the power, the car just wheel span. These 2013 Pirellis are awful. I cannot wait to have slightly more robust tyres, although that's going to be a while yet. At the top end of things, Vettel wins from Alonso. Button took third. Then it was Massa, Webber, Perez, Rosberg, Raikkonen, Hamilton took 9th. I think that might be him, possibly, out of the title fight. De Resta took a point in 10th. It was Maldonado 11th, Ricciardo 12th, Bottas, Verne, Hulkenberg, Peak, Van der Gaard, Sutil, Bianchi. There we are, thanks to that penalty right at the death. And then Gutierrez and Grosjean. What happens in the driver's standings? Hamilton is out of the fight. He is no longer able to defend his title. He is 57 points back with 50 on the table. Vettel leads by 27. You could have it wrapped up in the Circuit of the Americas. Rosberg is 4th, ahead of Massa, Webber, Perez, Button, Raikkonen and Grosjean. Hulkenberg remaining just outside the top 10. De Resta moves to double digits in 12th, ahead of Sutil, Gutierrez, Maldonado. Ricciardo slips to 16th. He's just ahead of us with 17th. And then there's Verne, Bottas, Bianchi, Peak and Van der Gaard. And in the Constructors, Red Bull lead Mercedes by 9 now. They've taken the lead at the vital point. Ferrari 16 points back. They're still in the fight. McLaren are 4th and probably safe from Lotus now. Sauber is 6th on their own. Force India 7th and Williams, Toro Rosso, us and Caterham. And that race, for the most part, was pretty good. And then right at the end, it just collapses. Absolutely no grip whatsoever. Lost the rear in the penultimate corner, trying to get the power down so we can actually just, I don't know, get over the line. That would be great. Didn't happen. We've spun. We've then struggled to get back facing the right way as everybody's come past. We've collected Esteban Gutierrez. We've got a penalty for our trouble. Sutil's also got a penalty. Maybe he punted me, who knows. And then that's it. The race ends as we crawl across the start-finish line with no front wing, tyres that can barely put any traction down, and we finish plumb last. That race was better than last place, that's for sure. Terrible way to end the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. And there are just 2 rounds left to try and redeem ourselves. And hopefully you'll join me for those 2 rounds. Thank you so much for watching this one. If you liked the painful ending, like, share, comment, subscribe, do all the good stuff. You know the drill. I shall see you for the next one at Texas. Take care of yourselves. Bye for now.